founder and CEO of Juvenile Justice Impact. Welcome all tonight. Welcome back. And tonight we have with us Lativa Shay, who is the owner of Shay Aesthetics and Permanent Makeup. She's also been a proud sponsor of the Juvenile Justice Impact Gala. Thank you so much. And she's also been just a general strong supporter of Juvenile Justice Impact with the workshops and everything that we've been doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Yep, thank you for having me.
So tell us, how did you come up with the name Shay Aesthetics, and how did this all start?
You know, I wish I had like some really cool, crazy story. It's kind of simple. I was actually in school at NEMA here in Las Vegas for medical esthetician before I was certified for permanent makeup. They're still in the realm of beauty, but one's a license, one's a certification. And there's actually a friend. I won't give her whole name, but her name is Stevie. I called her Stevie Sweetie. She was a sweetheart. She just excelled at everything she did. She was a classmate of mine, and I was kind of brainstorming with some classmates, and one of them that came up was Obey Lachey, because my actual name is Lativa Lachey, and I've always wanted to have my own brand and incorporate my name with it. So one of them was Obey, because we're like, what rhymes with Lachey? There's not a lot, and we were just kind of being goofy, and one of them, that the names that popped up was Obey Lachey, and I'm like, kind of like that can go in so many different directions.
It can.
Gotta give credit where it's due. I didn't fully come up with it, but I even asked her, I was like, before I take this over, are you okay? Because you do realize that you helped me come up with this, right? And she's like, girl, go ahead. So I'm like, okay, because I loved it. It stuck, and I just kind of went with it.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And what services do you offer?
So right now I'm specializing in permanent makeup. But I am a licensed medical esthetician, but for now I'm focused on permanent makeup. So I do brows, I do lips as far as like permanent makeup and color. But I am looking to eventually expand and incorporate, I want it to be Obey Lachey lash and brows.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So lashes.
Good person to be friends with. I don't know. Would I qualify? Do I need to?
We can hook you up.
We, previous to coming on the podcast, we were talking about some experiences that you've had in the past, and you told me that you've recently just turned 30.
Yeah.
And time flies.
I know.
Tell me about it.
I'm not in my 20s anymore. Like when people are like, how old are you? I'm like, I don't want to tell you.
Young enough, but old enough to know better, sort of, but I don't know.
Yeah, on the spectrum.
So tell us what happened between 18 and 26. And you also had coined transmitting pain to power. So tell us a little bit about that.
We have time, right?
We do.
I could sit here for hours and go in depth, but kind of in a nutshell. So from the time I was 18 to 26, almost 27, which obviously I'm 30 now, so only a few years ago, I ended up in a pimp-like cult. And I think a lot of people, when they hear pimp, they think prostitute and all that, and people are unfamiliar with these terms or that world. But in layman's terms, I hope I'm saying that word right, I would just say that I was in a cult. I basically at 18, I had an older man. He was already in his 40s, preyed on my vulnerability, my innocence, and got me involved. I thought I was gonna be a part of this company, a reality show, and even though that was mixed in, it was all smoke and mirrors to like dangle the carrot above my head and like bring me in. I was actually on my way to college. I had just graduated high school, and the whole background of my family is a whole nother story. It was very very chaotic, a lot of drama, a lot of trauma there in my childhood. But I actually I was one of the few of the newer generation of my family to actually even finish high school. And I was looking at colleges. I was actually going to go to an art school.
Nice.
Yeah, for voiceovers actually. And I ended up having this older man kind of reel me in and sold me a dream.
How did you meet?
So the town that I was living in at the time with my dad, because my parents divorced, I was about 8 or 9, so I was living with my dad. We actually met through, I wouldn't even say friends, it was like a mutual acquaintance. And long story short, it was my first love, had my breakup, and was kind of doing, I was kind of doing like inventory of people I knew weren't good for my life and like the direction I wanted to go. I was shedding those things, and I was working a few jobs. I had a girlfriend at the time come knock on my window like late night, and I'm thinking it's my ex-boyfriend, my first love that I just had broken up with and knew wasn't gonna be any good for me. So I almost didn't even look at my window, and I'm like, I know it's you. I'm not opening my window. My dad's in the other room, and I thought he was gonna be like begging for me back or something. So I peek out my window. It's actually my friend China, and she has this flyer just like pressed against my window, and she's like, and I'm like, okay, I have to like sneak her in real quiet. And she's super excited, and I've always been very like artsy, very eccentric. So like, hence why I was on my way to an art school. And she's like, there's this reality show. They just like dropped one of the girls. Like, I know this is right up your alley. And so we're all excited. And actually, my friend China, who she got the flyer from originally, was an acquaintance I had known around town.
Mm-hmm.
Town wasn't that big, so my graduating class was like 150, to put it in perspective. So I actually ended up meeting with this guy that she got the flyer from that introduced me to, I don't want to drop names. I don't want to give them that much credit, but introduced me to this man that ended up really taking advantage of me, doing a number, and that's kind of how I got involved with that. So I thought it was gonna be part of a reality show. When you're 18, and my parents did well for themselves. Like, we weren't like super wealthy or rich, but we weren't poor. My dad was always a good provider. I always felt like I had everything I wanted and needed, but when there's $500,000, $1 million houses and foreign cars and money like that being flashed in front of your face, and you're 18, and you're like, even my parents knew, they were in on this, so they were like excited for me. So like everyone was in on it. Like,
excited for you, thinking that it was going to be actual
yes.
show, not what was really going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of how I ended up meeting this individual, and he was slick until I woke up to what was going on. I mean, and from the time 18 to 26, I mean, there was so much brainwash, manipulation. A lot of people, I think, find it easy to be like, oh, well, don't play victim now. Like, you couldn't just get yourself out. No.
So that's 8 years.
Yeah. It was about, I handed over like $3.5 million. I turned into a working slave for this man, dancing in the strip clubs. I just want to be very transparent about that. I went through so many phases. I was embarrassed about it. I was ashamed about it. Makes me want to cry, because I've isolated so much because of it. And going through that, I got myself out, and I refuse to let that define me. I refuse to let that not just like define me, but like I refuse to be like stuck in that victim mentality. Like, I really believe in transferring pain to power. Like, yeah, it's not fair. I still try to make sense of like why I went through that, because I didn't sign up for that. Like, I was a young girl having a man preying on me.
For all of those years, was there a time when you knew that it was not right?
Yeah, this I mean, this man like brainwashed me with God. Like, I was kept from family, from friends. I wasn't allowed to make friends. Like, I was worked 6 days a week for 7 consecutive years. Like 60 to 100 hours a week. When you're young, you're touching money like that from the strip club, and like I was safe for the most part, because there's girls that get introduced to this lifestyle and they have it way worse. And my heart goes out to all of them, and not just the women, the men, so like to an extent, like I was kind of kept safe making money the way that I was, because it wasn't prostitution. I wasn't having sex with people for money. I wasn't, if you don't mind if I can be just very transparent, like I wasn't having oral sex or physical sex for money. I literally was dancing in strip clubs making money. The club's rules were our rules, and that's, one thing I'm grateful for, because if coming into that, like if I didn't known or even been tricked that like it was gonna be something physical exchange for money, I would have got myself out. So I I think I'm losing track a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't allowed to have friends, kept from family, and I mean, it brainwashed with God and manipulated, and I mean, I even had my own family calling me a whore and a slut at one point. Like
that was going to be my next question. Like, through all of these 8 years, were you able to call your dad? It sounds like you were close with him. Were you able to call your dad and say, "Dad, listen, this is what I'm going through. How can you help me?" I mean, was there a way that you could have reached out, or were you not able to?
So this is a very dynamic answer that I have for you. This man's manipulation was so like A1. His manipulation tactics, literally, like the more my family would try to like kind of like reach in to grab me, the more I would dig my heels into this situation, from the brainwash that this man literally had me thinking my family was the enemy, had me thinking they were jealous of my success, had me thinking we had bigger fish to fry. And I just became very distant with my family, and I already come from a pretty, my dad was a good dad. He loved me, but had his own, had a lot of his own things that he hadn't healed from, and my dad, unfortunately, was not emotionally or mentally equipped to handle circumstances like that. He did not have the skills and tools to know how to help me. My mother actually ended up living on the streets some time after my parents split, so her and I were not even close. There'd be years go by sometimes, so like I didn't really, as a child, I was close with my family, even through all of our chaotic drama and trauma. So like I really, I guess, wasn't too close, and I think I have to kind of look back at my childhood to see where all this started for me to even end up, manipulated or persuaded into a situation like this. So my family, honestly, like no one was equipped or skilled, I think, to really be able to help me, and the more if they did, it was just like they would just get more backlash from me, because it was never like with love. They didn't know how to do it in a loving way. It was like them being hurt and coming from that place, because what mother, father, cousin, I grew up basically an only child, but like who wants to see a loved family member on the outside? They can see what's happening. I couldn't really see that, and who wants to see someone they love go through that? And this man had a hold of me. I was so trusting of this situation. I had so much invested time, heart, money, and obviously the longer I stayed in it, the like more hooked, trained, brainwashed that I was.
So you're 26. You turned 26, and then how did you? Because that's a lot of years.
It's the most developmental years of my young adolescence. My brain was not even fully developed
until you're 25. Mm-hmm. And so, how was it that? I mean, you became a part of something that you had no idea that you were even existed. And you thought it was going to be a reality show, and it just kept getting, you just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the situation, let's just call it. And then how was it that when you were 26 years old that you're like, all right, I'm out? How were you able to free yourself, so to speak, from the 18 to 26 situation that you were in?
So to be more direct to answer that, I just knew like the last, well, I guess let me kind of fast forward. When I came into that situation, it was so believable. I mean, we were actually, I'm famous where I'm from in Dallas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And I wouldn't just say notorious, like I would say like I'm actually famous. I mean, it was so believable what this man was selling. I mean, we were at Playboy Mansion parties. We were in Hollywood partying iced tea and cocoa weddings. We were in nothing but like Rolls Royce limos and nothing but Phantom limos and like the latest Benz like limos, like literally living the life, the party, the lifestyle. Like even in Hollywood, we lived in Dallas, but had a place in California we go to. The whole point of it was that we had this company, new revolutionary company that we're hitting the scene, and but really he's a pimp and he's extorting white women for money. He didn't work, he didn't make his own money. So like all of this was believable. I mean, when you're at red carpet, Paramount Studios, cash money parties, like this was the lifestyle I was living. So that's absolutely believable. It's not just like, that's how I came into it. But slowly after some time, a few years, like the action really started dying down. And me and my best friend, in that situation became my best friend, which I had to leave. It's like a death. But I know we were not cut from the same cloth, and I could not carry dead weight, and I had to do what was best for me. I know that we are both like, what's going on? Like we literally just work now, and we have like money for food, gas, and nails. Like, and this man's off, like has his son come in the picture out of nowhere that he like randomly got this woman pregnant like long ago. It wasn't even his son's life. He like pops up, now they're trying to be rappers, and like we're the source of income, generating his life for him and his son. And me and my best friend, what we call wifey, ex-wifey at the time, was like, we're like, what is this? Like, what happened? So I think that's where he went wrong, by like kind of neglecting us and making it all about him and his son. And I know that even I cannot express, I'm getting to answer your question, I just feel like this is important to share, the level of like brainwash with religion this man even used on me, that God chose me for this. Literally would even tell me anything outside of this was bad, it was evil, it was wicked. Like literally even this man had like the worst anger of anyone I've ever seen for someone who's blessed by God. Like this man doesn't even have to work. What are you mad about? Who are you yelling at? And I just like, the religious brainwashing was like on another level, and that's a whole nother level of healing I've had to do. But towards the end, the last 2 years weighed very, very heavy on my heart and mind, and I was so confused. I felt condemned. I was feeling guilty. I'm like, what is this? Why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? I thought it was God. I thought it was God condemning me, and I'm like, what is this? Why do I feel like this? Like I did not feel comfortable in my own body, my own skin, and I'm just like I was not understanding, and just all of it started just kind of crumbling. Like it was like downloads basically of like, and it's so hard to be like real with yourself when you're already in balls deep in a situation like that, when you have so much time, heart, money invested, and you're like, no, I fell for that. It's so hard to be real with yourself. There's so many levels of guilt, of shame, of like wanting to believe that like you were right, and that you're waking up to the truth. And it's a hard pill to swallow, the reality of like all of this was fake. all of this was smoke and mirrors. I had just gave my loyalty, my time that I will never get back, $3.5 million down the drain. Like, sure, in the moment I got to enjoy, but I had no freedom. I had no friends. I couldn't think for myself, speak for myself. Like, I think I was just like maturing as a person and as a woman. And I just started waking up to, like, it wasn't that I was feeling condemned, it was that I was waking up and to the truth and the reality of what
You're starting to
doing.
notice.
Right. And my ex-wifey in this situation, which was my best friend, it was really only the two of us for many years. And even when he'd try to bring other girls around, they're like, and he'd always make it like, oh, we don't want bad apples in a good bunch. Like, that was always his thing. And so it just started weighing on me very heavy, and her and I started opening up to each other in a way that we weren't allowed to. We weren't allowed to talk about family. We weren't allowed to talk about our feelings.
Well, was he monitoring you?
Absolutely. I mean, there was even cameras inside and outside of our homes. Like, and we all lived together. So it was like a community.
Oh, I see.
But when his son stepped in the picture, as things started going downhill, and I think I started growing up, maturing, and awakening to what I was really a part of, he kind of like left us in Dallas, went to Michigan, Flint, Michigan, where he's from. Actually one of the #1 murder capitals in the world, so it kind of gives you an idea of the character I was dealing with, where people go missing all day long and you don't hear about it. Their water's messed up, like they're living in a third world country. Like, Flint is not a nice place. Actually I just, it was weighing on me heavier and heavier, and I think that burden of that weight was just like, I can't take this anymore. I need out. And there was sequence after sequence that started happening that I feel like had to happen for like spirit. I've never denounced God. I really had to find my own way to define this, because I'm like, God, like, why would you put me through this? But like, I'm not going to denounce you, but I've had to define this to my own authenticity. And I like, just like, what is happening? It was everything from, this man wouldn't even let me have my family at my home. My family for years didn't know where I lived. They'd never seen my home, and I've been working so hard for this. Like, all I wanted was a birthday. About 2 years before I left, it was literally 2 years before I left, where it was just one thing after another. I called tower moments, that were like, just, I think these tower moments were happening for me to wake up, to get out. It was spirit, God, like, no, baby, I have a bigger purpose for you. I need you out of this. Like, I need you waking up to this and like out of this, whatever purpose. Like, I still don't feel like it's fully defined for me, except for these things right here, to kind of be a walking billboard and advocate for this. But it was just like, baby, wake up. We got to get you out of here. I got a bigger purpose. We had to go through this. There's still reason. Just trust me. But we're gonna get out of this. And I mean, it was so those last 2 years, me and my ex-wife, we were kind of opening up to each other in a way we had never opened up before. And she was just sharing with me, like putting things in perspective for me that I had never even thought of. So like, without her, like, I wasn't even thinking these things. Like, I felt it, but like, he had us so numbed psychologically. Like, thinking for myself was like so far as the north is from the south. Like, most people think for themselves. This man, like, this man just like had so much control. And so it was kind of like, oh wait, damn, you're kind of right. Like, we don't, like, this man was promising A1 credit restoration, savings, healthcare, dental. We never had any of these. The whole time I worked and handed over like $3.5 million, I never had a house in my name. I never had a car in my name. I never even had a bill in my name. And I'm just like looking like, okay, where I'm at right now in my life, what I've made, I have nothing saved, nothing to show for. Holy shit. Whoa. Okay. I'm waking up to this. And that kind of started, I remember I was just beginning to be very unhappy. I know he started feeling like he was losing control of both of us, and then started loosening up his grip a little bit throwing things in there as adhesive to like make us happy, and he hated it. He hated that he had to do that because he knew he was losing us because we're his money. He didn't make money at all. This man did not make his own money. He used us, these women, to make his money for him. And it was tower moments those last 2 years, opening with my ex-wifey, of being open with each other about what was happening, what we're seeing, experiencing, to then literally the next big tower moment. It was my birthday. All I wanted was my family to be at my home. I begged him, and he knew he was losing me, and I'm like checking out mentally, and I'm just like, I'm not going to work. I want my family here. Yeah, my family will be here for my birthday.
And he wasn't used to that.
No, he wasn't. And I still didn't even know yet that I held the power. He never did. I did. No.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Where is he now? Was he ever held accountable? Did you guys, you say ex-wifey, so this person that you were with, so you're no longer friends with her?
No. It was like a death, and I had to leave her behind because I know that she wasn't ready. She had a daughter, not involved in the situation, but not from him, but she had a daughter. I know she had more. She was actually from Flint, Michigan, and I just knew, and maybe I'm wrong. We were both on the same page, like ready to leave. And even when I officially got myself out, I had a friend who had been in a similar situation. It was like, she asked me a question that stuck with me forever, and it ate me up. She was like, how do you know she didn't want to leave with you? And I'm like, I know she did, but I know we were cut from different cloths. I know her heart. I know that she wouldn't be able to make that move, and she would have potentially jeopardized my exit, my escape. And that wasn't like an easy decision to make.
Were you ever in a position to call the police? I mean, is he just out living this normal life?
I don't know. I'm like, you out there? You good? You surviving? Because I didn't hear nothing for years when I left, because the way I bruised his ego, and it's not a game to me. It's just like the way that I did it. It was so perfect. It was just like he knew not to come for me. So this is a tricky one, because he was so good at what he did, being slick, that it wasn't illegal it's weird. It wasn't illegal, but it wasn't legal. It was like literally just right on the line, right on the boundaries. So
and he knew how to teeter that.
He knew how to do that to a T. I will give him that. And so and the thing was, I had signed up for it willingly, not knowing what I actually signed up for, and that's the biggest thing. And when I officially left, I left with a wardrobe set, or my wardrobe and a bedroom set. After giving 7-8 years of my life, $3.5 million to completely restart my life all over again. I left to a suburb area that I know this jurisdiction in Frisco, Texas was looking for him. They hated him. When they saw us on the Discovery Channel, they knew what he was doing, and they wanted him so badly. He knew not to come in that jurisdiction. He was very afraid of the police. And it was never like, let me go snitch. It was for my own safety, because this man had bragged to me about, when I first got involved, how this girl left him, and like they were honestly on boyfriend girlfriend stuff. I think he actually really like low-key loved this girl, but he can't. He's a pimp. He's a gangster. He's got to be hard. He can't love, like the way the streets glorify this is really, really sad. But so this girl leaves, and she's teasing him with a new boyfriend that she got, and he always bragged how that same boyfriend was found dead in her trunk, and she had to come crawling back to him with her daughter. So I was up against potentially something like that. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, why didn't you just get out? Okay, do you not realize that you are this man's bankroll? You make this man's money, and it's not funny when it comes to the money. You are potentially putting your life on the line, talking murder, if you leave, or this man feels that he's losing control of you. it's not like just get yourself out, and it's not one of those types of things. So literally when I officially left that situation, I was out. I did go to the Frisco police, and I might have this mixed up, but if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Homeland Security. And basically what they told me, they kind of interrogated me and treated me like I was a criminal. They sat there and they're like, yeah, we can help you. We can help protect you if you tell us right now that he had you prostituting. And I'm like, if I told you that this man had me prostituting, I would be lying. Like, oh, okay, well, we can't help you. So I was basically on my own. There's nothing my family could do. There's nothing that, like, even is that federal level for Homeland Security? Because I know it was beyond the police. I might have those branches mixed up, but it was more for my safety, you know?
Sure.
Because I was in suburb, rural areas, broad daylight, walking my dog when I had just moved into a new place, leaving the situation, literally looking around, not knowing, like, people were probably looking at me like, what's wrong with this girl? Is she okay? And I'm just like, literally broad daylight, like, traumatized, not knowing if this man's gonna drive by and swoop me up, or like be at one of the clubs I was working at that I still had to work. I had to go to managers. These managers did not have our back. There was a few places I had to go to managers, be like, hey, low key between you and I don't need my business. I'm out of this. And I had a few managers like, thank God. They were like cheering me on. Like, thank God. Like, I got your back. There was a manager I was actually, I never really made friends like that, but he was really cool. He understood, and he definitely made sure to help keep me protected, that this man isn't coming in or outside when I'm leaving. So yeah, that was a very fine line as far as if I could call the police. Like, there's
Right.
nothing they could do, you know. I willingly signed up, not knowing what I signed up for. It's not like he kidnapped me or had me against my will. That's where a lot of people, it's really hard, because they're like, why didn't you just leave or get out? And it's like, you don't understand. It's not just like
It's so hard for people to think, you know, I mean, walk in your shoes. You know, what did you do from 18 to 26? I mean, that is a long time.
yeah.
And 18 to 26 are, you know, supposed to be, you know, your happy years where you're, you know, some people go to college, or they're experimenting different career paths, or, you know, and you lost your family. Like, a part of your soul was robbed from you. And what is your relationship like now with your family, like with your dad?
I'm trying to work on it, but I just feel like as I've had my own healing journey, I have found that bonding is still very hard for me. And this is something I've struggled with so intensely internally. It's one of those internal battles that we all have them, internal battles that, like, sometimes you might not even be able to communicate or express or put into words. And my voice was silenced for so long. I mean, even as a kid, I didn't come from a family that you can easily communicate or express. Everything was a fight. And I've always loved these quotes that for people who never learned how to communicate, everything is a fight to them. Everything is an argument to them. So then being in this relationship in this cult my voice was silenced. It was, I don't know if cussing's okay, but it was just, let me be raw and authentic. It was, fuck your voice. Like, it was basically like, fuck you, fuck your feelings, shut up, do what I tell you to do. I had no voice.
For years.
For years. And actually I got out. I isolated for quite some time because I didn't know how to bond with people. I literally did not know how to bond with people. I fought going to therapy because I was still in this weird place with the religious cult brainwashing that God was going to save me. God was going to fix my problems. And I'm not trying to make that a mockery. It was like this really weird space of the trauma, the brainwash that this had done on my brain developed in this training, this environment that was not normal, real, or natural. Like, can't even explain. And a lot of, like, I've had to go study cults, what people experience, and I cry every time because it did such a number on me that I'm working through. I refuse to let that define me, but I also am authentic and understanding how this affected me on such a deep level that I'm working through, and no one can do that work for me. So when it comes to my family, friends, I'm definitely cultivating, and it is my intention, it is a goal to cultivate healthy, loving, kind, safe relationships, because I've never experienced those. Even when I got out of that, I was by myself 2 years, I was prospering, doing really well, and then I thought I met what was the love of my life that turned out to be an absolute narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, pathological liar, borderline personality. And the trauma, the abuse from that is like a whole nother story that's like, it's like heartbreaking. And as much as like it's easy to fall victim and like let these break you, like I feel like I've been through so much it would break most people. And I still feel like I have like went with a level head. I haven't like fallen into drinking or drugs or like self-soothing in negative, unhealthy ways, or turning to sex and sleeping around and, you know, like putting my internal problems on, like, what is it? I love this, like looking to external solutions for internal problems. Like I haven't sought other people that, oh, fix me, like make me feel better, make me happy. That's my job, regardless, like, you know. And so yeah, bonding with people, and as I've researched people who've been through cults or things traumatizing like that, one of the big things they experience is like they have trouble bonding with people. And I still miss a lot of social cues. Sometimes I feel socially awkward, but I'm at least trying to be there. And it's not something, you have to pick and choose who you're vulnerable with. I do believe vulnerability is a strength, but vulnerability in the wrong company can be dangerous. And so it's not like I can, hey, hi, I'm blah, 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 and I've been through all this. Like, let me help explain why I'm maybe the way I am, and that comes off. Like, I'm working on myself. So yeah, bonding is still something hard, and I've noticed my own family. I feel that I've reached levels of consciousness in my healing and awakening that my family will never know anything about, because I am breaking generational curses. I came here on a mission, and it's becoming more clear to me why I've went through all this.
Where do you find currently, and where did you find in the past the strength to, like you said, you haven't fallen to drugs or, you know, all these external things that you could have done? Where have you gotten your strength from?
I'm a Scorpio. I love zodiacs. I feel like that has a lot to do with it. And I refuse. I think pride in certain aspects can be really, and ego can be very dangerous to toy with. But I feel like there's a part of my pride that will not allow me to break, no matter who or what, or to play victim. I think also at a very young age, I saw my parents split. My mom was very like loving, nurturing, but when my parents divorced at like 8 or 9 officially, I saw how it broke her. It absolutely broke my mother. And I know at a very young age, I was like, in my own mind, no one told me this. I was like, I saw what happened to her, and I was like, I refuse. I refuse to let anything break me. And I made that decision on very, very like early that nothing was gonna break me. I also believe simultaneously, as I do feel very spiritual, and I'm on a very spiritual journey, I do believe that spirit has given me the strength, and I think also a little bit with pride being used in a healthy way, that I know that path is destructive. It's karma, it's chaos, it's destruction, and that is not a path.
And that's incredible that you can identify that for everything that you've been through. And previous to coming on here, we were talking about, you know, hope and healing. And you've been through some extraordinary, painful traumatic events in your past, and now you want to use that to heal. Previous to coming on here, we were talking about how you want to do some speaking, and we'd met and we just clicked right away. And we've just always been in touch, right?
Yeah,
I remember being on the phone with you for hours once talking about some of your experiences last summer, I think it was. Yeah. And we've just always had this special little thing. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And you've come so far, and you have this incredible company, and I just think that it's great that you've been able to turn your pain into power.
Yeah.
And she was at our Healthy Minds workshop, which was about healthy minds. I don't know how else to put it, right?
Pretty simple.
Yeah, right. I'm like, how do I know? And but no, remember there was people there from several different mental health organizations, and I remember you spoke the most as a guest.
I was just relating so much.
I loved it.
I know that there's a version of me that...
You kept raising your hand, and they're like, you've been...
I was like,
I was like, just bring her up front and put her on the panel.
Well, 'cause I know for a lot of these kids, you know, like, finding your voice, and not just kids, this is like a human dynamic. I am just blown away with human psychology. I know that sometime in the near future, one thing at a time, I actually will be going back to school to study psychology, sociology, advocating for lost souls, voices, and I know how challenging it can be sometimes to speak up, to be your authentic self, because there's so many dynamics, complexities of the world that says otherwise, or quiets us, or devalues us, or makes us feel like our voice doesn't matter or count, or you had your own family growing up keeping you quiet. And I was like, any chance I get to speak and be heard. Now I have 2 ears, 1 mouth to do more listening, less talking, but in this case, this phase in my life, I know I've been through enough. I'm done being silenced. I will no longer be silenced, and these kids need to know and see and have examples of that it's okay to speak up. It's okay, like, whatever it is. And I felt like that day I really wanted to come from a place, I was relating with so much of what was being said, and I know the places I've been where I didn't have a voice, and it's now coming out, and it needs to be heard, just like those kids, and they need to know that they can speak up, they have a voice, and to have a safe place. But like, you know, maybe no one's showing them that's okay. And I think me just like getting uncomfortable, because like that was still very vulnerable and uncomfortable for me. It's something I'm still working on, to like just nope, I'm speaking up, like, because I'm not going to be silenced. And I wanted these, you know, kids to see that, and I think hopefully that inspire and motivate them and understand that I relate with them. It did, for sure. Yeah.
I remember when you were speaking, there was just a different level of silence in the room, because usually, you know, people are talking, and you know, there's always a sidebar conversations going on with just natural, right? In any gathering. And I just remember there being a completely different level of silence when you were talking, because you'd be surprised how many people haven't walked in your exact shoes and haven't experienced your exact pain. However, they might relate to it on a level that's just so personal for them. Fine, they might not have had this guy that manipulated them or so on and so forth, but there could be so many situations that are similar where they're like, oh my God, I'm not the only person, you know. And I feel like everyone really felt attracted, and they were like drawn to what you were saying, because it was just so strong. And when we're having an event at the end of this month to discuss the 8 steps of, because sex trafficking, how to avoid being sex trafficked. And a lot of people, that before we came on this podcast, I was like, would we define this as being sex trafficked, right? But there was no sex involved. However, it was similar to something where it's almost you're being entrapped.
Yeah, and
right?
It was still a sexually explicit, dynamic that I was extorted, in
Right.
a sexual environment, without the sex.
Right.
So it's like that. There is a fine line there, but yeah, I just hearing you say that, like, it resonates so, like, triumphantly. I don't know another word in my soul, because I feel like just I'm human, and so to even hear that is like I almost like have a download where spirit is telling me that this is exactly why I needed you to go through this, and you're gonna speak up with the power and authority that people listen, and it's gonna inspire, it's gonna heal, it's gonna motivate, and that's like my entire mission and journey. And to go through all of that, I mean, all I had known was stripping. I didn't know anything else. I had never really even had a normal job. And any woman who's been through that and doesn't know anything, I'm not even technically qualified. I have false prostitution charges on my background because they were after this man. They didn't even have anything on him. So the next best thing was the girls. Okay, well, we watched the girls. There's nothing. Well, fuck it. Throw something in there and just say they did it. Word of mouth. Like,
right.
Literally. And so
like they're cherry picking.
Right. So like, but it was all to get at this man. And so so when I go put in a resume, which I didn't even know how to, I'm 30 years old, and that made me feel incredibly stupid, but I have to revert. I'm like, no, I'm going to be kind with myself, because you've been through extraordinary challenges.
All of those years.
Yeah.
Those are the years that typically,
you're networking, making friends, growing, learning how to be an adult normally and naturally.
You're applying, like we've all had our jobs out of high school, a lot of them, and you do the resume building, you do, the interview process. So you missed 18 to 26. I mean, you missed
a lot.
You missed out on those developmental social building skills. So, like you said, be kind to yourself. Like when we were putting together your poster, remember, for the gala?
And it's even stuff like that like I'm happy to share now, that like I know in depth you might have not really known or understood, and I'm just like it's things like that I'm like,
I should have brought it with me. It really came out great.
It was really nice. I was like, okay, this you like, I know you knew, but it was like simple, but to me I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of that. I apologize. I don't want to seem incompetent, but I don't know, and I'm still doing the best within, the skills and acquiring, teaching myself on my free time. I literally study healthy communication styles, healthy relationships, bonding with people. I know so much about narcissists now, and psychopaths, and sociopaths, and borderline like all these things now that like a normal person probably shouldn't know. And it's not because I am, it's just because I've experienced so many of these personality types that I'm like trying to heal and understand the red flags. And so to go through all of that, like and I think kind of going back around to what you had said, like that was just like, it moved me so much to hear that, because it's like, okay, I feel like I'm now finally really getting to my soul's mission and purpose. And
you really are, and you're self-teaching yourself. I mean, I don't know many people that do that, and unless they're in a classroom. I mean, of course, people read books all the time, and the self-help books, but you're you're taking it to a different level where you're truly 100% doing it to educate yourself, to better yourself, to be that person that can inspire someone else, to teach someone else. And like, so for example, when we have the workshops coming up for like the Healthy Minds, we'll do the Healthy Minds again, of course, and I'd actually like to do that more than just once, and also get the parents involved as well.
I think that's really
get them more involved, I should say, because they're always there and they're involved, but instead of like, remember how they were sitting back on the back bleacher, so to speak. This year, and I was telling Shay King, who's on my board of directors and works really closely with Richard Steele, I said, you know what, this year I really want the parents to become much more involved, and they couldn't agree more. And I think that because a lot of times parents don't see what their kids are really going through because they're busy. And they're busy. And and the kids are busy. Everyone's busy. Whether it's school, sports, working 2 jobs, whatever it might be. And all of these really in-depth concerns in the communication is just gone. It's just not there.
Or potentially their lack of guidance, their lack of their own
communication
skills and tools that is affecting the children. And I do believe in it's such a common topic that I communicate with my friends and close network to me, that literally I personally, until I know that I have broken generational curses and ended cycles and I am healed, that's a never ending journey. But when I know I'm doing the work, and part of this for me, like being self-taught, is like I'm so determined, and that I know the mission and path of my life is unfolding more and more clearly, that I'm not gonna be someone out here just like, health, but I'm overweight, or like just trying to talk the talk and not walk the walk. I'm very passionate about this. So if I even, like peep or see someone else, I'm just like, no. And I'm not doing it for that reason. It's for me, but
it's like self-preservation.
And the way that I'm helping myself do the work and heal to help others, because it's so needed. We are not taught these skills and tools, and I am searching for all the information, the answers. And when I have these conversations with family, friends, my community about what they went through as kids, even a lot of these children that you work with for juvenile justice impact. Am I saying that right? Like, let's maybe not look at the child, let's look at the parent.
Exactly.
I hate to blame, but no, we gotta like point where is this coming from?
And that's one of the reasons why, last year was great. We had great workshops. We had great involvement. I feel like we made a difference in a lot of people's lives, and mostly the youth. And like you're saying, a lot of it comes from the parents, and building that communication skill, looking for the signs. If a youth is locked in their room, what's going on? If they're not talking, they're not eating, their appetite's changed. The grades have gone down. Whatever it might be, there's always a reason, right? So, and that's one of the reasons why I feel it's important to get the parents more involved, or their guardian, or whoever it is that's in their life. Yeah. And so that's one of the big differences that we're going to be a big component that we're going to be adding this year.
And I think that's wonderful, and I think the guardian or parent is willing, because it's so hard to look at ourselves sometimes and take accountability. Accountability is something I really, really practice. I really, it's a huge value of mine, taking accountability. And as humans, that can be really hard. We can be very stubborn to look at ourselves, and like it's so easy to want to put the blame out here
on someone else.
Hold on, let's look at myself. And there's times even I'm like, I feel self-aware, but am I really being self-aware? I actually even double back and I'm like, am I really being self-aware though? Like, because I don't want to be caught up in my mind believing a lie that's not true.
Right.
And it's like, as much as maybe some of these kids are experiencing, like, it's why it's a personal decision of mine. Until I know that I'm fully healed or done the work, I personally don't believe in bringing children into this world, because I might be doing more damage than good. And I'm trying to break generational curses and cycles and patterns. So the last thing I want to do is bring a child into that and continue that. No, it stops here with me, and that's a internal decision. No one taught me that, no one told me that. That's like, that comes from inside, and I think also spirit leading me on my path. And so I think sometimes these parents and guardians are potentially missing skills and tools that they didn't get.
Sure.
Them. And it doesn't matter what age, there's no judgment, I'm so happy to know what I know, and I will continue this journey for the rest of my life. But there's so many skills and tools that we're just not taught or properly given, and one of them is being safe. And people around you that are supposed to love you that end up kind of hurting you the most because they don't have the proper skills or tools. And that's like really a huge part of my journey in self-mastery and development, and equipping myself with it to help teach others.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're making yourself stronger to give that strength to others who might not have it.
Yeah.
And I think that with the previously before the podcast, we were talking about a lot of the workshops that we're going to be having. I'd love to have you speak at the next upcoming Healthy Minds one, and we'll probably have a lot of the similar people that were speaking last time. That was great, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
And what an incredible turnout! And we did the vision boards. Remember?
I keep all my goals, vision boards on the wall, but I love the vision boards.
And it was just an activity, a different activity for these youth and the families and all of us. We had a great time, and there might have been, it may not have completely altered or changed, someone's life, but I think it was an exercise, so to speak, to just open your mind and see something differently.
Yeah, because sometimes these kids, they only have, it's this one route. They don't have any diversity or anything else. So of course, I hate to say narrow-minded, but like you're only going to have that one-track mind if you're not being.
And it's not their fault.
No, not
it's
at
just
all.
it's just it's their environment and what they're exposed to, or completely what they're not exposed to. And I think that's what's been great about having the opportunity to do these different workshops with the youth. And I just think that what we're going to do this year, we're going to be doing them every month. And like for example, the one that we have coming up on February 12th is going to be, we're gonna bring in construction paper and have have all the kids and the families all make Valentine's Day cards, because I'm telling you right now, you go to Walgreens, cards are like $5 now, and I'm thinking if a youth has $5, they're not going to Walgreens to spend it on a card. They're just too expensive, and I just think it'll be a nice way to have the kids, the youth, and the families make something.
And the togetherness.
The togetherness, for sure.
And who doesn't love a cute little DIY, like male or female, masculine or feminine, but also the togetherness. And I think practicing that, because how often, as you said, is everyone's so busy in the day-to-day, do we really take time to just like those cool,
sit down and make homemade something homemade. Right.
And like really, I don't want to be cliche, but like the thought that counts. But like when you make something yourself and you put your heart into it and like you enjoyed it. No, granted, maybe there's some kids who are like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's
like,
not cool at all. Oh wait, hold on. Can you pass me the glue?
Right, just like find a way. Like I will come in there as mascot. I'll hype it up. Whatever we need me to do. Like go crazy with throwing paper around and making cards and getting other people hyped. Like I love to be that person. So any character.
Yeah, definitely. We can invite you to we'll invite you to all of them, and you can be the hype person.
The hype mascot.
A hype mascot. But no, seriously, and the whole point of them is to just open their eyes to something different. And it was, it's been great, and we have a great calendar year set ahead of us, and definitely join us on the 28th for our screening at the mayor's chambers. And I think that a lot of the people there, people always come together for the similar interest, right? So, I mean, you weren't technically sex trafficked, but you were in a space that was very similar. And
cult abuse, all
right.
sorts of abuse throughout my whole life, and learning that shit now.
Yeah, and
learning my boundaries. No.
And I think that there's so many like-minded people there that you already know, that you've already met, and whether it was previously through the workshops or at the gala, I mean, you've met everyone. Remember, I was just showing you the flyer, and you're like, oh, I remember that one from this one from that, and now we're all coming together again. And that's the whole point of it. And I think that would be great for you. And hearing the stories and seeing the documentary, and we'll definitely give you the calendar for all the workshops coming up, and keep you involved, and we talk frequently as it is, so we'll keep each other posted, and just thank you so much for sharing your incredible experience. And I hope that whoever's listening, if they've gone through something similar, if this gives you just an ounce of hope that you can heal and you can overcome and motivate yourself. And look at you now, you own your own company.
Yeah,
Wow.
I hope that's major part of my journey. I just want to help people turn their pain to power, because no one is exempt from it. We all have our own journey, and it's not just all about me and what I've been through. It's just me being vulnerable and sharing openly what I've been through to help people connect on a deeper level and
For sure.
understand, wow, I wouldn't even expect, she looks like a Senator Barbie. She went through all of that. Well, yeah, no, it wasn't an easy journey. It wasn't, I think people even look at you like, you're pretty, people just give stuff to you. No, I worked for everything I have, and I've worked my ass off, and I feel like I'm barely getting started. I mean, it is a dream to not only grow my company, but to be a household brand and name, and to expand multiple locations, to have, I had an abusive childhood, an abusive adolescence, an adulthood. I knew nothing but stripping. I just finished myself and went to school. I now have and just opened my first location for my business for Shay Aesthetics and permanent makeup, and I plan to grow and expand my team this year. This is not a season in my life that I can do everything on my own.
Right.
To create capacity for growth that involves growing an amazing team, and I definitely want to center that around women, and I want to be a feminine leader and empowering women especially. And I feel like I'm just getting started. I have books on the way. I've been picking up more speaking events, and I'm so thankful for you having me today, because it just feels so right, advocating for sex trafficking victims, cult survivors, I call it thrivers, and I plan to do so many cool things that, even though my 20s were taken from me, where you're experimenting careers and this, I feel like I have so much clarity in my truth and the path that I'm supposed to take. Like, I've never had so much clarity in my life of my purpose, my destiny, and I'm just getting started. So if I've went through all of that and have overcome and transmuted this pain to power, I am positive that I have the ability and power to inspire and motivate others to do the same.
You do, 100%, and I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Yeah, thanks.
And we'll just continue to be a team, like we have been in the past and now and in the future.
Forever and always.
Forever and always. Well, thank you again so much for sharing this incredible story.
There's so much more. I have books on the way. I literally even feel like I'm going to turn this into a movie.
Well, whatever I can do to help you.
And vice versa.
And so, how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find your business? How do they call you? Do you have an email, a website? Tell us everything.
Google me. Google me.
Google me. All right, well that ends all the content. Just Google me. All right.
Google me. Kind of a big deal.
Oh my God. That's
so
funny.
Actually, Google is a great place. Just Google Obey Shay. I'm making a joke, but I'm being serious. Obey Shay, Obey, Obey, and then Shay, Lashay, permanent makeup. I do have a website. It's obeylashay.com. You can check me on my website there. If anyone is love what I'm standing for, advocating for, or looking for services for permanent makeup, as it's what I'm specializing in now, send me an email at lativalashay@gmail.com. My email is actually attached to my website. Also, my Instagram is obeylashay. You can't miss it. It's only Obey Shay there.
And it's a cool logo.
Yes, it's a beautiful, cute little logo going on.
I still have the big poster.
which you did an amazing job, by the way. So it was really cute.
And we could be found, this podcast can be found on YouTube. We need you to subscribe, and
hit the thumbs up.
Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And if you would like to reach Juvenile Justice Impact, we have 1-800-JJI-0010 or impactjji@gmail.com, or we can do juvenilejusticeimpact@gmail.com. There's a lot of J's and I's there. And we thank you so much, and I'm so proud of you. I'm just so proud of you, and I look forward to seeing your growth and reading your books and maybe stopping in, and maybe I'll get my eyebrows done.
I got you. We'll set you up an appointment. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you need to have something done.
It wasn't like that. I was just saying, but
a little consultation going on here at the podcast. Well, she's like, well, actually, you know what? No.
No, we can work. That's my specialty. So
right.
Definitely make more beautiful what you've already got going on. But I definitely want to thank you just for having me, and I love what you're doing, and to see how much having this moment to really go in depth with one another, to really see how much alignment we are, and as much as like I appreciate you wanting to help me, like I do believe in that being mutual and being able to give and make deposits in other people's lives. So any way that I can help with the cause that you've dedicated your life to, and I admire and look up to that so much. Like I remember even sharing your story, a little bit of your background, where you grew up, and the juvenile hall, was it, that was like basically down the street from you, and just to see how something like that impacted you so greatly and deeply that you've literally carried out and devoted your life's mission to these kids and helping and being involved in so many amazing efforts to help them, is like I just see your heart, and I'm so happy that we've crossed paths.
I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I feel like we've got some pretty big things that we're going to be working on together, and I can't say enough about how much I thank you for your time, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm always here for you, for whatever I can do to help you reach the stars that you're about to be grabbing.
All of them.
All of them. We'll just get a net.
Let's get some buckets.
So thank you so much, and we'll love to have you back. And we'll keep you posted, and you will see her at our workshops, and she's going to be having a bigger voice this year for sure. So I'm proud of you. Thank you. We're honored to have you, and my heart's always here for you.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.